What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick.
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
And welcome to episode number 51 of Vinyl Bang, the very first episode of 2025. We hope everybody had a good new year. Today's today's topic is a really cool one that Jeff and I have been talking about for about 3 months doing, and now we're finally getting onto it. And we're doing our top 20 albums of all time. I got my top 20 list. Jeff has his top 20 list. Neither of us have seen each other's top 20 list yet, so this is going to be very fun. But this is also a very difficult one, right, Jeff?
This is, dude. Yeah, I mean, out of all the episodes we've done, I know in past episodes I've said, this one was hard to put together, or this list was hard to put together. Those were nothing. This is literally the hardest list I've ever had to put together. Top 20 of all time. Like at first we started off, we were going to do a top 10, and that was doable. I mean, to an extent. And then Nick came up with the idea to do a top 20, and I was like, okay, so now, and then yesterday, whenever we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this episode, Nick said, do you want to go ahead and do the top 50? And I said, no, Metal Nick, no, we're not doing 50. We have to do 20. That's it. 20 is it. And yeah, neither of us are, we have not discussed what's in each other's lists. For every episode of Vinyl Bang up to this point, we discuss what albums we're going to talk about for each topic to make sure we don't do duplicates. And this time we have no idea. I don't know what's in Nick's top from 20. The first half. We're going to do this in two halves. We're going to do 20 through 11, and this one in the next episode is going to be 10 through 1. And I have no idea what's in Nick's first half. Nick has no idea what's in mine. There's probably going to be some conflicts here and there. There's going to be a lot of, what? Are you serious? That was number 13? Like, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, and this may be the last Vinyl Bang episode ever. Who knows? Conflicting egos are going to be at play here today, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be fun, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to finally go ahead and talk about it.
I am too, and I really hope we get to a point where both of us have like the same number one or the number 5 or something like that. I know I'm pretty sure we're not going to have the same number ones, but like if we land on the same one, that'll be amazing. But yeah, this is crazy. Like this list was a bit of a mind fuck to put together because I did a lot of rearranging and hard thinking because I had to think back to like ever since I started listening to music, what would go in here, what albums really meant something to me. I know the albums that are there, but there's a lot of them over the years, over the 43 years that I've been on this planet and been listening to music. So yeah, let's not waste any time because let's make sure we're recording and we can actually go through this episode.
Always hit record. Always hit record.
Jeff, what do you have for your number 20 album?
Okay. So starting things off again, we're gonna my number 20. Like my top 20 albums. There's everything spanning from whenever I started getting into music. Whenever I was before I was a teenager, before I was 9-10 years old. Anywhere from the early 90s up until stuff that I discovered yesterday. I mean, there's the favorite albums are all over the place. But I'm going to start off with an album that is very special to me. That was released fairly recently. I am going to start off with the latest album from Origin, Chaosmos. This album was the second album that I was in the studio with the band documenting their recording process while they were doing it. And of course, as I've told numerous times throughout the year, while I was in the studio with Origin, I had asked to be the guest vocalist or to do the opening part, the speaking part on Disease Called Man, which the band agreed to. And I was and I got to record my voice and all this and that. Well, that track was supposed to be on this album. That was the initial plan, was to have Disease Called Man on this album. And then it turned out it was, it was a featured Decibel Flexi disc, which is even more awesome because I'm on a Decibel Flexi disc. But yeah, I'm have to mention this because of the memories behind it, the importance of this album to me, And yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Chaos Myth. This particular pressing is number 55 out of 150. This is the pressing, this particular pressing is the Orange Galaxy that absolutely resembles the not only the concept of the album, but also the artwork. And it's just a beautiful pressing. This one's never been played. It's in the jacket that I would put records in that I put on the turntable, but that one never getting played. But yeah, Origin Chaos Myth kicking off my top 20 with an amazing album from an amazing band, an amazing group of musicians.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh.
Origin fucking rules. Shout out to Jason Kaiser, past guest on our show. Hilarious guest. He probably had some of the funnier stories, and yeah.
Yeah, and somebody take his Blue Oyster Cult, please.
That's right. That's right. Okay. My number 20 is an album by a band that I just I remember the first time hearing this band, just it blew my fucking mind. I didn't know what I was listening to. I couldn't figure out if this drummer was real or not, and unfortunately it was not, but fortunately it wasn't. I'm of course talking about Agoraphobic Nosebleed. This is Frozen Corpse Stuffed with Dope. This is where's my book? My notes. Here we go. This album came out in 2002 on Relapse Records. It is an onslaught of special guests. This was a repress from, I don't remember what year, but it is limited to 100 copies. Baby Blue, Baby Pink, Oxblood Merge. Yeah, I remember hearing this before I've ever heard who Pig Destroyer was, and just being like, just so overwhelmed with like, I don't know, like I didn't know what I was listening to. This album is insane. I did I filled out a zine for the ex bassist of Fuck the Facts years ago, and I used this album as the album that I wanted to talk about. It was like if he said if you were trying to get people into a metal or something like that, and use an album that everybody should hear, and I chose this record. This record blows my fucking mind. It's just the way I described it is like if somebody stuck a machine gun in your head and pulled the trigger, and you survived every bullet, and just listened to the fucking chaos that ensued. This album is incredible. I don't think I can read some of these song titles because they'll get me canceled. But shout out to Scott Hall. I mean, like this this is a masterpiece. This opened the door for a lot of other like crazy grindcore bands, power violence, whatever you want to call it. I was happy to be at their very first live show, official live show, I should say. But this album is just insane. It's really fucking cool. It I think I discovered this when I was maybe 20, 21 years old. I was still pretty young, and I think it was kind of fresh, like it just come out. But yeah, like I strongly recommend this if nobody's ever heard anything, especially if you want to try to get into Agoraphobic Nosebleed. I feel like this is where to start. I'm holding it this way. It's supposed to go this way because it's the sleeve. They've done that. They do this all the time with this album. Put it sideways, but yeah. Agoraphobic Nosebleed, a frozen corpse stuffed with dope. Quite possibly one of the cooler albums of the last 20 years to come out. 20.
Absolutely.
20,
Absolutely. Yeah. As far as that being somebody that you would introduce metal to, man, I mean, just really throwing somebody into the fucking deep end, man. That's the way to.
No, I don't remember what the question was. It was something along the lines of like, if you had to describe an album to somebody that had never heard it before or something like that. But like, I just chose that record because it was like, it was one of my favorite albums. It still is. I mean, like it made it to my top 20, but like, it's just it's a ridiculous record. Like I said, there's like the who's who of metals on that album. Lenzig is on that record. Fuck, Dan Lochner. They cover a Nuclear Assault song, "Hang the Pope," and he does the vocals on it. Killjoy is on it. Jeez, who else? There's so many fucking J.R. Hayes.
Yeah, I want to say Barney's on that, isn't he?
Probably.
It's been so long since I fucking really got into it, but yeah, there is a lot of guests on there for sure.
So many people. It's an incredible album. Again, like it's unreal. It'll really blow your mind the first time you hear it, and you're just like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't remember what the question was. That Mark from Fuck the Facts, ex Fuck the Facts basis. He made some zine, and I don't remember what he asked me, what the question was, but he just fill it out like this, and I used that record.
Right. Right on.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Number 19.
19. Second album of the list. This one goes back to I really should have done notes for this one since such an important. This is from 90, 91, 92, early in the 90s. This is one of the first albums that I ever became obsessed with. It's one of the first albums I ever owned intentionally because of the impact that the first video that I ever saw on MTV, the impact that it made on me as a child. And several years later, whenever I was in a band for a year, it was a very, very short-lived project, but I was in a band at the time in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we covered a song from this album. And number 19 for me is Helmet, Meantime. This album is absolutely phenomenal. I still like, this is one that gets plenty of attention. Never get tired of this album. Just front and back, phenomenal album. The song that I'm referring to, covering as a teenager in the late 90s, was Unsung. Me and some friends from high school. The drummer is actually the drummer for the Forecast. So for those of you who know who the Forecast is, Tony Peck, the drummer for this national touring band that's done like When We Were Young festival, and they're still an active band, but yeah, he was my drummer first back in the late 90s. Yeah, we covered Unsung on this album. Meantime, still a great album. It's been duplicated, not duplicated, but like a lot of bands have covered the songs on this album over the years. Like Pig Destroyer covered the track In the Meantime on their Painter with Dead Girls album. It's just a solid album, front to back, absolutely phenomenal. Love Helmet. Number 19, Meantime.
Hell yeah, dude. I got a text from Cha. He said he was going to try to call in and request a song. He asked us to play Wonderwall by Oasis. I think that's what he asked for.
Tell Cha to never contact us again until we need a new episode.
He's going to see this episode and laugh because he knows that he texted me in the middle of this episode.
This is important, Cha. We're working.
All right. My number 19. Oh, slipping there with this mouse. All right, my number 19 is a band that I discovered, I guess, when I was in middle school, but I really got into when I was in high school. I remember me and my friend Chris and Mikey used to walk around and just listen to this album all the fucking time. And then my friend Chris went to Rome with this fucking CD of mine and brought it back, and like I was like, go buy your own. But Rage Against the Machine, the self-titled album. This record, just from start to finish, is just just some punishing riffs. Just it makes you bob your head and groove hard. This just crucial fucking album art. I remember as a little, I was pretty young when I first saw this, and then by the time I bought it, it was the message that these guys are saying, and it just it's a powerful fucking music. I love this album a lot. Bomb Track, Killing in the Name, Take the Power Back, Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, Know Your Enemy, Wake Up, which I never knew until like It was happening until I walked out of the theaters, but that was at the very end of that movie, The Matrix. Wake up,
Matrix. Yep.
Fistful of Steel, Township Rebellion, Freedom. I mean, this is a fucking amazing record. This is just a picture disc. This came out in 1992 on Epic Records. This is a 2012 repress on picture disc, the 20th anniversary. Yeah, I love this album so fucking much. Maynard from Tool does a special guest vocals on Know Your Enemy. Yeah, this is like a soundtrack to my childhood, my youth, my teenage years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see this band quite a few times in my life, and then 2 times when they reunited a couple years ago. But yeah, this album is special to me. I know a lot of people like the second one a lot, but this one.
It's far superior to Evil Empire, and I'll agree with you there. That was, and I'm going to say this probably 18 more times throughout the rest of these albums, but that is one of the albums that went back and forth between it's in the list, it's out of the list. I got floated out for something else, but yeah, Rage Against the Machine, man, that debut album is absolutely phenomenal. Wake Up is one of my favorite tracks. Know Your Enemy is just so good, dude. It's a phenomenal album for sure.
Like I said, me and my friend Chris, we used to walk around and just like I would impersonate like those noises that Tom Morello would do on his guitar, and they would laugh so hard at it. But they recognized it was a good fucking album. Like we used to walk the hallways like our sophomore year in high school. We'd like one of us would yell some of the lyrics, and then the other of us would finish them and shit. Like that was a really special album to me as a kid, and like it had to make the list. That was absolutely one of those ones that just it made its way in the rotation for many years because it meant something to me. So. But
absolutely. Well, I'm glad you picked up the slack and put in where I didn't.
Okay. All righty. 18.
Number 18 already. Wow, this episode's flying by. This is like Nick. There's gonna be, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of albums from my teenage years. There's gonna be some stuff from this year, whatever. This is one of the latter. This is one from my teenage years. This album, the diversity of it is just so incredible to me. This album is the album that introduced me to sludge. The experimental track on this album is just phenomenal. Number 18 on my top 20, Soundgarden, Super Unknown. I don't know where to begin with how good this album is. Just the entire thing from beginning to end. Let Me Drown, Fell on Black Days, Super Unknown, Head Down, and then the big tracks that everybody knows, like Black Hole Sun and Spoon Man and The Day I Tried to Live. Kickstand is an amazing track. Mailman is absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time. 4th of July is what I'm referring to as the song that got me into sludge, my introduction to sludge as a teenager. Still just one of the heaviest songs, one of the darkest songs I've ever heard. Absolutely love Soundgarden, and so many memories from the mid 90s whenever this came out. This came out in 94. Again, I'm so prepared now. I didn't even take notes on when these albums came out.
But, yes, 1994. That was 94. On your our 1994 episode, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I mean, just Soundgarden, Super Unknown. I went back and forth between this and Bad Motorfinger. Bad Motorfinger, as great as it is, just have the effect on me that this album did. Absolutely loves Super Unknown. Forever, even today, like I still want a shirt with this design on it. So if somebody out there has an extra large shirt in a decent condition, let me know, because this thing is hard to find. Like I've got several Soundgarden shirts, but just this artwork is, I love, absolutely love the artwork for Soundgarden, Super Unknown. So number 18 for my teenage years, Soundgarden, Super Unknown.
Awesome, yeah. Super Unknown's a fucking cool record. I'm glad you picked that. Were able to fix that into your top 20, because I think that's another album that a lot of people have brought onto our show, guests at least. So
Yeah, it has come up a few times, and I'll always remember this with this. That's James Watson's favorite album.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a cool album. I don't know where I stand on it. I think Bad Motorfinger is my favorite, but I can see that one's probably way more influential on more people because they had more hits with that album. So,
Mhm.
but cool album, cool pick. My number 18 is an album that Jeff, I know we can't go wrong with this one. I've talked about this album several times on our show, but this is an album that I've talked about because it meant a lot to me when I was dealing with some hard times in my life. I'm talking about Tool Anima. Um, this is, like I know a lot of people like Tool after Lateralis came out. Most of my friends who I've met over the years are more of Lateralis fans and beyond, like 10,000 Days and whatnot. This album for me was Tool. I thought this album. I bought this album after my father passed away, and I just remember listening to it. excuse me, nonstop for the next couple of years. It came out in 1996 on Zoot Entertainment, BMG Records. Um, remember they had a beef for a long time with this record label and just could not get away from them before they could eventually put out new music, which led to a Perfect Circle being a thing. But this album, I can't say enough things. I just have memories of sitting on the school bus listening to this album on Discman, like to and from school. This is a bootleg. I can't afford the OG pressing like my co-host here, but I'll show you. These are this acetate purple record. I've owned two copies, two different bootlegs of this in the past. One I just parted ways with because I needed money, and then I found this one. This one I came across an ad on Facebook, Swamp Green with some like splatter in it. I don't know. But this Stinkfist Eulogy, H, Useful Idiot, 46 and 2, Message to Harry Manback, Hooker with a Penis. That's probably one of the coolest songs on this record. Intermission, Jimmy, Dia Evan Sutton, Push It, Cesaro Symbability. I've said that all wrong. Anima, Ions, and Third Eye. There's quite a few filler tracks on this record. Some of them are pretty easy to skip. I think. I think that song Intermission is cool because of the way it sounds. It kind of like leads into that song Jimmy.
Yeah, the way it leads into Jimmy. Yeah.
The other ones I can like Message to Harry Manback. I don't give a fuck about that. Useful Idiot. Evan Sutton's kind of funny to me. I've always laughed at that one. I played it for my mom one time, who's German, and she translated it to me that they're telling you how to make a cake, but she said he keeps yelling, "Add no eggs," and she said that's hard. That's ridiculous. How are you going to make a cake without eggs? The Cesaro Some Ability. That song is I guess a filler track, and so is Eons. But as a whole, this is a cool fucking record. I mean, like I remember being a teenager in high school listening to this album thinking I was the coolest fucking kid in the world because I listened to Tool thinking I was smarter than everybody because I listened to Tool. Like these fucking snobs that are out there today. Tool is fucking awesome. This album is incredible. This is one of my personal all-time favorites. I had to throw it on this list somewhere in the top 20. I just, it has a lot of sentimental meaning to me and sentimental value to me, and just I can't stop. I'll never stop listening to this album. It's just fucking amazing to me. And although I'm not a huge fan of the stuff they do today, like I still go see them live. They kill it, and their new music is all right. Their last album was actually awesome. I don't know what I'm talking about. I wasn't big on 10,000 Days or Lateralis, but what the fuck was it?
Anima is absolutely my favorite Tool album. As far as 10,000 Days and Lateralis, I mean, they all have their downfalls, but they all have their strong points. Yeah, Fear Inoculum is incredible.
Fear Inoculum, yeah, thank you.
But Anima is.
No, the music on Fear Inoculum is just beyond fucking amazing. They progged the fuck out on that one. There's like 30-minute songs and shit. So
right.
They're just incredible songwriters. You can't go wrong with Tool.
All right, yeah. Moving on to number 17. This one is probably going to cause the first conflict between Nick and I. This is probably going to be the first one where he's going to say, "What? That's so low in your list." But here we go. Camera got moved. Sorry. Okay, so number 17 on my top 20 comes from a band that is this is a concept album. This is an album that Nick and I have discussed several times throughout the previous episodes. Number 17 in my top 20 goes to Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf. Songs for the Deaf. Incredible album, as these all are on both of our lists. These are all incredible albums that mean a lot to me. This is another one that can go from beginning to end and is preferred to listen to from beginning to end, since it is the concept album. It is, starts off with the guy getting into his car, putting his keys in the ignition, turning the radio on, and starting off with you think I ain't worth $1, but I feel like a millionaire. And then it just, he flips through the stations and goes through the next track, which is, of course, is No One Knows. The rest of the tracks, First to Give It, Song for the Dead, The Sky is Falling. You guys know the album. But such good ones, dude. It's like this entire album is almost like a greatest hits, just because it's so good, and there are so many good tracks on this album. Go with the Flow, Gonna Leave You, Do It Again, God Is in the Radio, dude. Nick, I know I don't have to sell you on this album, but I mean, tell me how fucking good this album is.
Start to fucking finish. Yeah. Oh man.
Song for the Deaf, even Mosquito Song. It just amazing album. Yeah. So coming in at number 17 on my top 20, and I like to refer to this as Songs for the Jeff. Songs for the Jeff.
Your wife laughed.
She did laugh. She don't care. she just wants me to wrap up this episode so we can go get some dinner. But yeah, Songs for the Deaf, number 17. Good one, eh?
Oh man. Yeah. I'm speechless, really. Yeah, I thought that'd be in the top 10, but okay.
See, dude, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
No. Now I'm really intrigued at this list. So okay.
Now, right? It's gonna get interesting from here on out.
All right. So my where are we on? 17?
17.
Yeah, my number 17. This is an album by a band that I collect so hard. I buy when this band puts out records. I would buy the shit out of them. I try to buy as many pressings as I could. I don't want to call myself a completionist. I try to be. There's like some rare ones. I'd like to own all the rare things that this band has, but that's like asking too much now. But I am talking about Weekend Nachos Worthless. I have several copies I'm holding in my hand. This is a final show pressing with a screen printed cover. This album is just fucking insane. I'll show you the one that I purchased from the brand directly when it came out, and they sent me. They wrote on the back, "Thanks, dude. Weekend Nachos, Hometown Hero, Obituary, Black Earth, For Life, Old Friends Don't Mean Shit, Frostbitten, The Meeting, Worthless, Friendship, Jock Power Violence, The Fine Art of Bullshit, Dub Violence, You Could Exist Tomorrow, and Future." A lot of doom metal on this album. A lot of fucking just straight fucking kick your ass power violence. Even the cover of this fucking record, it's a fucking a glacier collapsing. Worthless. Let me show this insert. The lyrics are on this side. That's John and Byron right there. Yeah, like just. I remember before this came out, they did the Black Earth 7-inch on A389 from Baltimore, and talking to those guys, I saw them in a cafe, in a college cafe on campus in DC. They're telling me that this was coming, and I wasn't prepared I wasn't, and when it came out, it kicked my ass. I own quite a few copies, but I'm just showing this one right here. Obviously, uh, Weekend Nachos, one of the coolest fucking bands. They're from Chicago, one of the coolest power violence bands out there. Reunited earlier this year and started playing shows again. They put out a best of like all like 7 inches and splits and stuff like that. What came out on a double LP this year. Um, I can't say enough great things about this band. I'd like to get the singer John on our show soon. He owned his own record label for a while, so I think he'd be an awesome guest to have on. But
Absolutely.
yeah, Worthless. That is my number 17. It's yeah, one of those
Phenomenal
albums.
band. Yeah, Worthless is a great album. I own a couple copies, I believe, but yeah, definitely a good addition to your top 20 for sure.
Hell yeah! All right, number 16.
All right, moving on. Number 16. This is yet another album from my teenage years of learning music early and discovering who I was going to be as a music enthusiast throughout the duration of my life. Number 16 for me comes from Ministry, and it is Psalm 69, "The Way to Succeed and the Way to Suck Eggs," because I just fucking, I don't want to be repetitive and say every song from beginning to end, but every song on this, NWO, Just One Fix, TV2.
Mhm. I love
God.
TV2.
Yeah, it's absolutely just, I mean, just that, it sounds like a fucking jackhammer, just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a good track. Jesus Built My Hot Rod, which of course features Gibby Haynes of Butthole Surfers. Scarecrow, the title track for the album, Psalm 69. I mean, dude, iconic album, iconic artwork, will never be duplicated. Absolutely my favorite Ministry album. They have several great albums, but this one is just their peak to me. It is such a landmark album. I believe I got into Ministry and Nine Inch Nails around the same time, and I can't remember which was first, which was last, or whatever. But yeah, as far as industrial, these guys still hold up for me. I've seen them numerous times throughout the years. Met Al Jorgensen. Fuck, I don't even remember. This had to have been more than 20 years ago. But met him and got him to sign my CD copy of Psalm 69. That's in a frame, proudly hanging in a frame. Psalm 69, number 16 in my top 20. Absolutely love that album.
Yeah, I had some friends get me into that album years after it came out. I would say they were about to play Ozfest, and they were playing that record for me, and I was like, "This is pretty fucking cool." So they actually did not end up playing that Ozfest. They had a drop off for some reason. Soulfly took their spot, but
Oh,
yeah, I love that. I like that album a lot. I don't think I love all their entire discography, but I've seen them live. I was lucky enough to see them live once. So it was pretty cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, cheers. Good record.
Thanks.
All right. My number 16. It's by a band that man, there were some times where these guys were just like I haven't seen them in a couple years, but they were just great friends and like um especially the drummer, me and him got along really well. I'm talking about the Acacia Strain Continent. I remember when I first time saw these guys, they just got a flat tire. They were having a bad day, and I happened to have some Cypress Hill with me, and they were very stoked. Not all of them, just a couple of them. The singer's a straight edge, so I don't want to throw him under the bus in any way. Like he's a good dude, and like, but other members of the band partook and just like hit it off with these guys. And they every time they came to town, they would either hit me up first or whatnot, but put me on the guest list. They got me to so many shows. Over the years, just buying all their albums and listening to their music. This one in particular, I thought was just incredible. Uh, it's called Continent. It came out in 2008 on Prosthetic Records. This is a 2020 reissue, opaque orange inside of transparent blue wax, 250 pressed. Can't really see the orange in there. Kind of, you can.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, right there, whenever you had it like sideways in the light, you can see it real well. Or, yeah,
Right there on the top, you can see it, but like
yeah,
everywhere else, it's a little. Yeah.
right on.
I hate these paper sleeve vinyl things. I can't find the. Here we are.
Vinyl collector problems.
Paul Romano, very famous artist. He painted this album art. I'm gonna read these song titles off to you: Skynet, Seaward, Doctor Doom, Forget Me Now, Cthulhu, Baby Buster, Balboa Towers, JFC, Kraken, The Combine, and Behemoth. Now, some of these titles may sound a little familiar, like Seaward, Forget Me Now, Baby Buster, and Balboa Towers. Those are all Arrested Development references. If you've ever watched that TV show, Arrested Development.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
I guess Skynet is from Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Doom. What else is on here? Cthulhu, Baby Buster. JFC is Jesus fucking Christ. Kraken, you should know what that is. This album, this is a fucking great album. They put out some cool ones. I know a lot of people would say Deadwalk is their best one. I like this one a lot. I remember when this one came out, I felt like they were like people were always like they're just a moshy band, and they put this record out to prove that that's not just what they were. They were very fucking well written, well put together band. Their music was so fucking awesome. The lyrics, I think, were so fucking angry, and I identified with a lot. Casey's String Continent, great fucking record. This landed on my number 16. I say this a lot. If I ever wrote a book about my experiences going to shows, the largest chapter would probably be about the Acacia Strain. Had some fun times with these guys. They've been very nice to me over the years. Um, just all around great fucking people. Vince, shout out to Vincent Bennett. He's a singer. He's just put up with my my bad behavior with the rest of his bandmates for so long, but was just he was a nice guy. He didn't, he never judged me or anything. I always used to bring him stuff if I had stuff for him too, and he was by stuff I mean like Game Boy shit like that. Like he was a video game nerd, so I had a lot of stuff that I used to hook him up with because he was nice to me. He wasn't. People think he had this weird reputation of being an asshole, but he wasn't. He was actually a very nice guy. They were all very nice people. Past and present members, they were all super cool to me. So, Casey String Continent, this has to be on my top 20 because this was an important album to me in the last, like I said, 40 some years I've been listening to music.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I got to hang out with Kevin several years ago whenever they were doing Warped Tour. I did a live stream of him for Sick Drummer magazine, and great guy. I've met a couple of the other guys in passing at that tour. I obviously don't know them as well as you, but yeah, they were great to be around and great guys for sure.
Yeah, they're just, man, like every album I feel like they got better. That album was just, for me, it was just, I remember it coming out and just being like, man, this sounds so fucking good. Like people just always said they were just a moshy band, and they did more than just like that style. And I thought that like the breakdowny stuff, like they were just, I think they took the people, put them on another level with that record too. I believe because that was so fucking well done.
Yeah.
All right, so doing a top 20 is a pretty fucking difficult. I know at one point you and I had agreed let's do some fucking honorable mentions in here because it's hard. It's very hard, and to do this without throwing some albums in there. Like I try to think of it like if this was like a desert island thing, but like there has to be 2 more albums that we could squeeze in there, and we're gonna do this on the next episode as well. So
Yeah.
why don't you go with what was your first one, Jeff?
Anything we can do to cram more albums in. Like, we went from 10 to 20 to 50 to 300 to let's just do the top half of our cabinets and whatever. So yeah, so honorable mentions. My first one that did not make the list, but absolutely would have because of the attention that it gets. As much as I listened to all 11 minutes of these 100 songs, I am referring to Anal Trump, the first 100 songs. Absolutely incredible project. This is Rob Crow of such bands as Pinback and Goblincock and all of these other projects throughout the years. He tapped our good friend Travis Ryan to be the vocalist for this project. And I absolutely love Anal Trump. I love all 11 minutes of these 100 songs. This particular pressing, this red pressing right here, I've got both of them. 3, 2, 3. I remember having, I think there was the Swamp Green that was available to everybody. And then this red pressing was only available in the Rob Crow box set that had like, I don't know, like 15 or 17 different albums in it. And as much as I appreciate Rob Crow, I am not familiar enough with his catalog to put out hundreds of dollars for one of these box sets. So I hit up this guy on Discogs and said, hey, if you ever want to, break your box set apart and sell these records individually, I want to buy this red one. And a couple months later, he hit me back and he said, yeah, if you want to buy this, I'll sell it to you for X amount or whatever. So took a lot of endurance, a lot of persistence, but I own this very hard to find red pressing. And this absolutely, I felt, had to be mentioned in the top 20, even though it did not find a spot, an actual numbered spot in the top 20. It absolutely had to be an honorable mention. Love this project. Absolutely love this. I guess I should censor that for the kids at home so they don't see the graphic artwork. But yeah, Anal Trump, the first 100 songs. Honorable mention number 1 of
Number
2.
1. Yeah. Yeah, that's that's
It's fun. It's just 3-second songs. It's just I don't remember what EP it was, but like whenever one of the EPs came out, I was like, I posted on Facebook. I was like, oh cool, a new Anal Trump EP just came out, and then I was like backed out of my parking space. And I'm like, all right, now what do I listen to? Like, short songs. It takes like 10 seconds to listen to the entire thing, but so good. Such a good project. So fun.
Yeah, I remember the album art wouldn't even load before the song was over, and it would just keep skipping to the next song because they were so quick.
Yeah.
All right, my first honorable mention is an album that, like, man, like, I can't believe this isn't on my list, but like I can't go without talking about this because this album, I spent a lot of months, a lot of years listening to this album. I still listen to it a lot. I have quite a few pressings, but the quickest one that I could find it's always in hand is the clear pressing of Mastodon Leviathan. This album is just beyond incredible. It's a single vinyl, clear as you can see, out of 100. Friends and family. This album, I mean, this is part of those the great year 2004 when just so many bands were putting out like their best work and just I felt like metal was like on a whole nother level. Oh my god, this isn't going back in. It sucks.
It's not going to go back in there. Just go ahead and put it in a package and mail it to me.
Yeah. Blood and Thunder, Sea Beast, Iron Tusk, Megalodon, Naked Burn, Aqua Dementia, I Am a Hab, Island, Hearts Alive, Joseph Merrick. They rearranged the order of this so it could fit on one vinyl, and they would have to put it on double vinyl. But if you have it on CD or bought it off of Bandcamp, it's in a completely different order. Like I Am a Hab would be the second track usually. This record just, Mastodon just, I think they blew the fuck up after this came out. After this was Blood Mountain, and they were like on a whole nother level of like just songwriting and whatnot. So, yeah, couldn't do a top 20. Couldn't fit this into my top 20. I do love this album a lot, but I will add this as an honorable mention in my my collection there. What's your second honorable mention?
Agreed. Yeah, amazing album from Mastodon.
Absolutely yeah, for sure. I'm sorry. If you wanted to add some 2 cents about that album.
No. I just I want that pressing. My birthday's coming up. If you're trying to think about something to give me, I'll take that clear pressing of Leviathan.
In like 11 months, right?
Yeah, next November. It's coming up pretty quick. Anyway, honorable mention number 2 in my list. Another landmark album that does not get the attention. This album does not get the attention it deserves. If I were to ever be asked by the bassist for Fuck the Facts, Mark, God damn it, I can't remember his last name. Mark from Fuck the Facts. If I were ever to ask which album I would introduce people to grindcore with,
Mark Borgon.
I would say I would answer with Magruder Grind's self-titled album because, damn, I mean, this is just the epitome of grindcore. This album is again, for the numerous times, does not get the attention it deserves. Crushing, absolutely crushing. This thing is just all over the place. There's samples that are just fun. To quote, there's the J Rock. Oh, there's a place for the J to the ROC. Well, look, yeah, put it with the liquor. It's a fun album, and the grind is just on point and crushing and just built to blast is so good. Heavier bombing with the rap included in it. It's absolutely. The Protocols of song titles. Sorry, go through some of the song titles. Protocols of Anti-Sound, Rejecting the Militant Promise, Fools of Contradiction, Heretics, Bridge Burner. Dude, I know I don't have to tell you, Nick, but Magruder Grind, this album is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. I saw them, they were touring with Misery Index right after they had released this album, and one of my other pressings on the shelf, I got them to sign it at the show, and I don't think they were used to, or they never took signing stuff very seriously because, like, I think Avi like drew a cat or something on it, like they took it as like a joke, like whenever they were signing it. But yeah, one of my favorite copies is this green, and you know the whole story behind this, right? Like this green cover, because usually the regular cover is yellow. And this green pressing was an off color. I don't even remember what the story was behind this, but this is number 33 out of 50. And this was released by Deep Six.
Mm-mm.
You know the whole story behind this, right? You know the
Willow Tip, maybe.
Willow Tip did the original pressing, I thought, but I thought this was. I don't remember. Of course, the insert doesn't say. But either way, regardless, my second honorable mention for the top 20 is Magruder Grind, self-titled, just because. Phenomenal album.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool one. Absolutely. Shout out to those guys, Avi, Chris Moore, and RJ. All right, my second honorable mention. This is a hip hop album that I discovered when I was like in the 6th grade, about to go into the 7th grade, and yeah, this album had just come out. This was the first solo album by NWA's star Dr. Dre, The Chronic. This album fucking changed my life when I was a little kid. I remember after this, like, hip hop was just like on a whole nother level. It wasn't as popular as it was until I feel like this record came out. This record really started putting like gangster hip hop out all over the fucking everywhere. Like Snoop came from this, all this shit. This album came out in 1992 on Interscope Death Row Records. Kind of a plant is that? I don't know.
We don't condone drugs on this show.
Is that what that is?
I think so. I think that's a marijuana leaf.
What?
Yeah. Put it away.
Dr. Dre, how could you?
I thought he was Canadian, eh?
Is he even a real doctor? No. I'm not going to read any of these song titles off because they're just going to get me in trouble. A lot of N-bombs in there, but this record is just so fucking incredible. I remember it was like one of the first hip hop albums as a kid listening to music. It's one of the first ones that I listened to like on the regular. I got hooked on it. I was just like, as a kid who was like full blown metalhead, like this record really just changed things for me. Made me like look at things a lot differently and just be like, maybe just more than to music than just metal, more to life than just metal. And I absolutely love this fucking record. I think from start to finish, it's incredible. There's a couple filler tracks in there for sure, but this, I was just listening to it yesterday. It's a great fucking album. That's my second honorable mention of the top 20 list there. Yeah,
The Chronic is absolutely it's almost like a rite of passage as far as rap.
Yeah, I wish I don't know. There's just when I first heard that, I guess it was Dre Day was the first thing I heard, but like, after that, he had so many hits on that record. It's just like you can't sit there and just like I remember just getting it. Let Me Ride. What else was there? There's just so much. I don't want to like
nothing but a G-Thing. I mean, it's just
There you go. Nothing but a G-Thing. I don't want to waste time talking about our honorable mentions, but that was a fucking. I'm glad you're in agreement with me. That's a cool fucking record. I would not be surprised if that's on your top 20 somewhere. But moving on.
Just real quick, that is one of the albums that's been mentioned numerous times from either from you and I on different topics or guests or whatever. Yeah, The Chronic is.
It's a cool record.
Awesome album.
Moving on to number 15, Jeff. What you got?
All right, number 15 is an album that came out in the early 2000s. I picked up this album in particular based off of the involvement of the hype sticker on the front of the CD that said this band consists of Trevor Dunn and Buzz Osborne and Dave Lombardo and Mike Patton. Phantomas, the director's cut. This is easily the more accessible. I don't know, more accessible, more widely accessible by the public more than their other albums, which are just Mike Patton's creativeness, making noise, as most people would call it, him just kind of scatting over, But this is a cover album where they cover song titles or the theme songs from such movies as The Godfather, Der Golem, One Step Beyond, Cape Fear, Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, Vendetta, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, and Charade. And just this album is ridiculous how much it means to me. I love the Phantomas touch that the band puts on these iconic movies theme songs from movies, and they just re-released or they officially released this album on vinyl as a standalone pressing this year as a 25th anniversary of Ipecac Records. This album originally came out in 2001, I believe. Ipecac Records was started on April 1st, April Fool's Day in 1999, and they did a 25th anniversary run of all three of the four Phantomas records. And this is, of course, the black pressing, which was supposed to be a new copy that I've picked up recently, just because it was the last copy I had to have in order to complete the complete collection of the director's cut albums. But I figured I would go ahead and showcase this one because this is the one that's been getting played as soon as it got in the mail. I threw this on the turntable and listened to the director's cut just because phenomenal album. But number 15, Phantomas, the director's cut.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Damn good album. Damn good lineup too. What a bunch of great musicians there. So,
dude, absolutely. Like I said, the first time I ever saw that, I was like Mike Patton and Dave Lombardo. Like, yeah, whatever this is, I have to hear this, and have not been disappointed. I've been a fan since that day. Have not been disappointed with Phantomas at all.
Hell yeah. My number 16. This is where I feel like I'm going to start to shock people, and they're going to be like, "What the fuck, really, dude?" And I'm going to go ahead and say, "Yeah, really." This is this is the first band that I became obsessed with as a little kid. I remember when I was in the second grade, like I was listening to like Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, and a little bit of Metallica. But when I got into third grade, I'll never forget the first time being in my dad's record room listening to Casey Kasem's like top 40 or whatever, and Dr. Feelgood came on, and I just was just so fucking blown away by that intro riff from this song. And my mom went to Germany, and she asked, usually when she would ask me to, if she wanted me to bring back stuff, I'd ask for Legos, and I was like, bring me back Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. Now, thank God she couldn't read what was on the back with song titles like "Slice of Your Pie," "She Goes Down," "Sticky Sweet." You know, like thank God mom didn't read any of this stuff. But I remember being a little kid into third grade and just like they just kept putting out music videos for all these songs, and I was just like, man, this is so fucking awesome. It like flooded over to when I was in the fourth grade. Like it was like almost like 2 years of them putting out like going on tour and making music videos for this album. Um, I had posters. I remember my dad would. So like he was, I think it was again a young age, and my dad was really stoked that I was getting into music, and he would come home and with like buttons and like keychains of this album for me, and like magazines and stuff. But this album meant the world to me. I remember playing it a couple weeks ago and just getting kind of emotional thinking about all these good times I had with my father, just like collecting stuff for this record. Um, they just recently celebrated, I think, what, the 30th anniversary or something of this album. Uh, you know, people say what you want about Motley Crue and how they sound nowadays. This band like is a big deal to me. I have a clear green, lime green, whatever pressing of this album. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody should know the songs like Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart, Without You, Same Old Situation, Don't Go Away Mad. I mean, those are the hits that they had off of this record. But
Sure.
this this band was, you know, such a huge fucking deal to the point where there's a book written about them and then a movie put out on Netflix about them. I mean, I think I vividly remember being in the fourth grade and these guys used to talk shit about Motley Crue because I was a big fan of them and they like Hammer and Vanilla Ice. And I never forget them saying to me, nobody will remember this band in a couple years, whereas Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer will be like a big thing in a few years. And I remember we were maybe in like junior year in high school, and I went up to those guys because like the big thing at the time was Tommy Lee had a porno tape out with Pamela Anderson, one of the hottest chicks in the world. And I walked up to him, I'm like, who's fucking talking about MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice these days, you fucking idiots. But yeah, Motley Crue was a huge fucking deal to me. This band, like I love this fucking record so much. I had to put it on my top 20 list because I just like going through a lot of thoughts are going through my head right now, just thinking about my third grade year in school and just listening to this album, drawing this on so much shit. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they were a huge deal to me, and maybe not so much anymore. But you know, I got to see them live a couple years ago, and they played practically every song I wanted to hear throughout their discography. So it was really fucking cool. I had a good fucking time, and
Very nice.
love mom. Yeah. All right. We are about to round down to number 14, right?
Number 14. Yes. Yeah. All right. So these the last few for this episode are going to be, I don't know, a little on the heavier side, not so much stuff from my teenage years. The number 14 for me comes in from a band of the grind persuasion. They actually have their own genre of music known as Rocky Mountain Hydro Grind. Cephalic Carnage, Lucid Interval. Had to include this one. I mean, like, it was hard to pick a Cephalic Carnage album. This one in particular, I saw them on tour around the time that this was released. I think it was like a couple of months or so after this album was released, and this was the focus of the show. At the show, I bought a copy of this on CD, and this is just the one that always stuck with me as being the first impression. You know, they say what to say about first impressions; those are the ones that last. Lucid Interval is just stupid good, so good. For for this one in particular, as far as relapse presses, I went through my collection and dug out an OG press. This is an OG translucent red, and dude, look, this even looks red, doesn't it? Does it look pink? No, it doesn't look pink at all, does it, Nick?
No.
What's that look like? That is a red motherfucker right there is what that is, Nick. All right, how we doing now? Finally, my red looks red. Yeah, dude, I mean, this album, Black Metal Sabbath, Cannibism, redundant, fortuitous quantity, pseudo, friend of mine, dude.
The way that album starts off, yeah, fucking phenomenal record.
Absolutely phenomenal record. The artwork for it is just, it's like, I feel bad covering it up, trying to show it off, but man, Lucid Interval, beautiful album. Love this band. Become personal friends with them. Pretty good friends with Dr. Steve Goldberg over the last few years, and Nick, you have also, we're pretty close with the good doctor, who we are hoping to get on the show one of these days. Yeah, because people want to hear what Steve Goldberg has to say.
I do. I love that guy.
I do too. One of the greatest sound guys in the business. Great guy, great band, great album. Good job, Jeff.
Yeah, hell yeah. Cephalic Carnage, I can't argue. That's a great record. Okay, my number 14 here is man, I remember the first time an old friend once told me about this band, and then I was working at Tower Records at the time, so I bought it the next day after it came out, or technically it would have been the day it came out. But this record is just so fucking good. I saw them a few months later with Gwar on Halloween, and I remember talking to their singer, and he was a trip. I'm talking about Lamb of God, New American Gospel. This album came out in the year 2000 on Prosthetic Records. Man, like I cannot begin to start with, like, I don't know where metal was at this time. New metal was kind of a big deal, and then stuff like this started coming out, and I think, like, the way a lot of people were describing it, there was like a new wave of American thrash metal coming out that was just like hitting, and there was bands like Killswitch Engage, God Forbid, Mastodon. Not all these bands are thrash, but they were American metal bands that didn't have that new metal sound, I guess, and but had a little bit of an underground edge to it. This fucking record, just, although the production wasn't like the greatest production in the world, these songs were fucking, from start to finish, these were some fucking killer songs. What is it? I guess like the Subtle Arts of Murder and Persuasion. That's the one that's got like the solo-y guitar coming in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I mean, like, Black Label, everybody loves that one. I'm a big fan of Confessional, and Officer Dickhead Gets a Black Fucking Eye. Those are personal favorites. I guess this is like a let me see what, I don't know what pressing I grabbed. I don't know what I own. It's just a standard black. But this one has Nipon on it, which is the bonus track that came with the Japanese release of this. It's got some other like demos of like the Black Dahlia, Warning, and Pariah. But yeah, Lamb of fucking God, awesome fucking band. This record, it changed a lot of things. If you can see it, it's the Crown of Thorns there with some telephone cords and some nails and screws in there and shit. But just cool stuff. Cool band. Ooh. Look at these boys, these young men. Yeah, these guys were really nice to me over the years. They still are. I talk to John every now and then. Randy always acknowledges me when he sees me at a show or something, stuff like that. Like, I definitely got some cool photos because of him on stage over the years. but yeah, Lamb of God, New American Gospel. It's just one of those albums that really like changed the way I listen to music and changed the way I stopped listening to a lot of bands because stuff like this was out there and it was better than the shit that I was listening to before. So they almost Nirvana'd new metal for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. Like whenever that album came out, it was like nothing I'd heard up to that point. I was all about New American Gospel, and at one point they were the band that I had seen the most because I just was obsessed with seeing them live. And
they toured so fucking much, and they did smart. They got themselves out there. They toured with anybody and everybody and any sort of scene, so they could just draw people into their fan base. And I think they did a phenomenal job because like they really did. They promoted. They were a very marketable band. They promoted themselves well, and like when As the Palaces Burn came out, let's not kid ourselves, man. Like people were just like, I mean, the music was even crazier than this one. It was,
right.
their shows were packing in. They were getting better tours. They were on magazines all the time. It was awesome. I remember seeing them in like a tiny basement in Baltimore, and now they're like fucking doing arenas with Pantera.
Arenas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on
13
to my number 13, and this was not. I haven't gotten up. I have not gotten up from this chair since we sat down. My records have not changed order since I sat down to start this episode. Coming in at number 13. Waiting for Nick to see this.
Yes, I can see it. I'm sorry, I had myself muted. Fuck yes.
We were one number off. Number off. Yeah. What can I still say about this record? I mean, I can show you the pressing, I guess. New American Gospel.
Tell
my what? This pressing is, I guess, also just a standard black pressing. I thought that I had a clear pressing. I thought I did. I guess I don't. But yeah, New American Gospel. For everybody that, I don't know that Nick and I have ever like made this public knowledge or whatever, but the way that Nick and I became, the way that we met was on a Christian dating site called christiansonly.com. The way that Nick and I met was on the Lamb of God message board back in the early 2000s.
That was the name of it.
Christian Mingles, Christians Only.
No, it was called Lamb of God.
It was the Lamb of God message board. I believe it was on the Sony server. I believe. I don't even remember what it was, but the Lamb of God message board is where Nick and I met years and years and years ago. We both had our usernames were Burn the Priest song titles, which was the album that came out before Lamb of God changed their name from Burn the Priest to Lamb of God. I was Suffering Bastard, and Nick was Resurrection number 9. And because of this, I don't know, it was because of the song titles that we became friends, or where we started really talking more. But Nick used to film bands, and then I always wanted to film bands, and I always looked up to Nick as inspiration for going out and filming my friends' bands live and this and that. But anyway, 35 years later, here we are, Nick and I, doing a video podcast every week talking about our favorite records. And it all started, our friendship started because of this band around the time that they released this album. And yeah, this album means a lot to me. But besides the fact that it's an awesome album. And it still is, dude. I still throw this album on like fucking ridiculously good. So.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's such a killer record. The very first live show I ever filmed was Lamb of God on my 21st birthday. And Randy gave me a shout out and wished me a happy birthday on stage. It was awesome. I have that thrown up there on YouTube somewhere, but
nice.
Yeah, again, it's awesome that we were so close on that one. That's
so
a great
close. One off.
Yeah. All right. So I'm at here number 13. My 13 is an album by a band. This band put out like first there was an EP that they came out, and then they put out this one. And out of all the music that this band has put out in their collection, I thought this was their best album. This was my favorite effort by them. I would say I'm talking about Between the Buried and Me, the Parallax 2 Future Sequence. The cover's kind of got some cool shit going on there.
Oh, it is cool.
They I should have done all this ahead of time. I'm slacking here, and I'm probably gonna drop shit. This where are we? 2012. This came out on Metal Blade Records. I pre-ordered it, so like one of them is like the moon, I think, and then the other pressing sky. I'm not sure. Blue. Yeah, like before this album, they had put out, I believe, so the EP and then this one came out. But they had, let's see, The Great Misdirect was before this, and before that was Colors. I remember getting this record and just like hearing it for the first time, and just it just sounded fucking incredible to me. This band is just, there's something else. Like I know there's a lot of prog metal bands out there, but like these guys really fucking, for a simple-minded motherfucker like me, they really like took me on a journey, and I love this record so much. I listened to it so fucking much when it came out. I still do put it on every now and then. I just drove down to Raleigh, North Carolina a couple weekends ago, and I was listening to it, and yeah, just such a fun fucking band. This album is 72 minutes and 32 seconds, it says on the back here. I guess
Is
they
that
put that.
is that the one with Bloom?
Yes, that is on here.
Dude, I fucking love that song, dude.
Yeah.
I love Bloom so much.
No, there's a lot of good ones on here. Talos, The Black Box, Bloom, Melting City, everything on here. The Silent Flight Parliament. This album takes you on a fucking journey. I thought I had the EP. I don't know where the fuck it is. Jeff got that for me a couple years ago on Record Store Day, and I was going through my collection today, and it's missing. I don't know if somebody stole it from me or what, because I definitely didn't sell it. But this album falls into my top 20. This is my number 13 albums out of 20. Just an incredible record. These dudes are really good fucking musicians. They're continuing to put out new music still. I can't remember what the newest one they just put out, but yeah.
Colors too.
Colors 2 was the last one. I thought they
I
did
think
something
so.
after that.
Yeah.
Well, Between the Buried and Me, the Future Sequence Part 2. This is my number 13 album of all time. And yeah,
Very nice. Very nice.
yep. They're an incredible band, just great songwriters, great musicians. Like I said, this album really takes you for a journey. And yeah, if you don't know about it, you should. It's a good one.
It has been a long time since I've listened to that album, and that's a good reminder that I need to do that again. Because yeah, I love that album the first time I'd heard it, and Bloom just really stuck out to me. It's just how crazy it is. Very Bungalish.
Mm-hmm.
The song is very, fun, goofy, as the kids say. But yeah, I'm gonna throw that on after this episode, I believe. So thank you for reminding me of that.
All right, number 12.
Number 12. We're getting into the last two of the episode of the first half. This one is, I believe I've mentioned this several times, every time that this band is brought up, whether by us or guests or whatever. But yeah, number 12 for me, coming in at number 12 is Pig Destroyer Phantom Limb. Cannot say enough good stuff about this record. A lot of people say that, Prowler is the best, or, the recently released Terrifier. They're great albums. They're all great albums. But this one, to me, it I don't know, it hits a different way. This, of course, was the first album to feature the late, great Blake Harrison. It may have been his involvement with the band that really sealed the deal for me as solidifying this as my favorite album. Several years ago, my wife, who is actually right now painting a portrait for somebody, she did. Blake Harrison. Blake had asked. It was good friends with my wife and I, and he knew that she painted pictures, and he said, "I would like to have a portrait done," just as jokingly as fun as Blake was. And I told her whenever I found out about this, I said, "This is the picture I want you to do. This is the picture of Blake that I want you to do." And she did. She painted that picture for Blake and sent it to him, and he loved it and hung him up on his wall and everything. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. This is an OG press from the first run of the Relapse. The Clear, everybody knows, and as we have done episodes about, the Relapse Clears are limited to 100. This particular pressing is also limited to 100. Very hard to find. This was the last copy that I found on vinyl. All the other ones were acquired fairly easily. This one was hard to track down. This one was a little bit more expensive than I want to talk about out loud with my wife sitting no more than 20 feet from me. But yeah, this is absolutely my favorite Pig Destroyer album. Rotten Yellow, with such tracks as Rotten Yellow, Jupiter's Eye, Thought Crime Spree, Lesser Animal, Loathsome, Fourth Degree Burns, Girl in the Slayer Jacket, and the Machete Twins. The Machete Twins are so good. So good. Yeah, absolutely. The Machete Twins is probably my favorite Pig Destroyer song. So, there you go. Number 12, almost to the end of the episode, Phantom Limb. We'll censor it for the kids at home. There you go. Phantom Limb, number 12.
Artwork by John Dyer Baisley.
Artwork by John Dyer Baisley, yes. Yeah. His work is always very noticeable. You always know whenever it's John Dyer Baisley.
Definitely. Alrighty. My number 12. This was tough. I thought about putting this in my top 10, but that list is that list. I can't argue it. This is an album by a very, very legendary death metal band that I happen to be good friends with. It's my favorite album that they put out. Talking about Dying Fetus, Killing on Adrenaline. This album came out in 1998 on Morbid Records. This is a 2007 pressing from Night of the Vinyl Dead Records from Italy. I said it right. It's numbered as well.
452 of 500.
There you go. Not a low number. I'm fine with it though. But happy to have this on vinyl. Red, white, and blue splatter on clear. Yeah. I believe when we had Jason Netherton on the show, he was talking stories about the grooves that they were writing because they were listening to a lot of hip hop on this album. You can absolutely hear it on songs like Killing on Adrenaline, Procreate, The Malformed, Fornication Terrorist, We Are Your Enemy, Kill Your Mother, Rape Your Dog, Absolute Defiance, Judgment Day, Intentional Manslaughter. I mean, like, these are some fucking amazing from start to finish. One of the best death metal albums, in my opinion. I love this band so much. They still break out a lot of these songs in their live set. But yeah, like there's some groove on this album, a lot of bob in your head because of I guess the hip hop they said that they were listening to at the time. But Dying Fetus, just great fucking band. They for being a band with such a crazy offensive name, they're still in the game and they're playing bigger venues now and just I just saw today they announced they're going on tour with Cradle of Filth this springtime. So yeah, man, shit's only getting better and better for them. I'm really happy for these guys, and this is my number 12 of all time.
Great pick. Absolutely great album.
Yeah. I just picked this up a couple years ago. There's one album I didn't own that I was really hoping to get. And fucking, maybe I got this year. I don't remember. But, yeah. Glad to throw that in my top 20 collection. All right. You ready? Number 11, last one.
Number 11, last album of the first half of the top 20. This one also features the aforementioned Jason Netherton. I'm going to go with my favorite Misery Index album. Maybe you can tell by the back. Maybe you don't know. Heirs to Thievery. Man, this album is so good. I discovered the band with Discordia, and Discordia is great. Traders is great, but this one just hit hard. I don't even know how to put it. Earlier this year, whenever Nick and I met up with Adam Jarvis, who is, of course, the drummer for Misery Index, we were discussing their upcoming tour that happened a few months ago, back in August, because we were talking to Jason, and you guys, they played that show in Baltimore on our wedding anniversary on August 31st. But Nick or AJ was telling us about this tour that they had coming up, and I said that I would absolutely love to hear Fed to the Wolves, and apparently they played it on this last tour, which I didn't get to see. But Fed to the Wolves is probably my favorite Misery Index song, and of course is on Heirs to Thievery. This album is just ridiculously good. I mean, the song tracks, or the song titles: Embracing Extinction, Fed to the Wolves, the title track Heirs to Thievery, The Spectator, the 7th Cavalry, You Lose, ridiculous, Sleeping Giants, Day of the Dead. Phenomenal album. Again, for this relapse, I dug out the very first copy that I got of this, the very first pressing on Relapse Records, which is a translucent orange. I remember getting this album like a week before it came out, and this was back whenever I started collecting records, and I probably had, I don't know, a dozen or so albums in my collection at the time. And I didn't realize how big of a deal it was to get an album on vinyl on time, let alone receive it a week before the actual release date. This came with a download card, which I was able to download the album the day that I received this in the mail, and I just fell in love with this Misery Index album, and this still to this day, all these years later, 13, 14 years later, is still my absolute favorite Misery Index album. I own every copy, literally every copy, including the test press, every copy from Anarchos Records and Relapse, and just, yeah. Incredible artwork, incredible band, incredible musicians. Number 11 in my top 20, Heirs to Thievery.
Love Misery Index.
Yes, love that band.
Great fucking band. All right. I can't say enough good things about that band. I remember, I'll have a quick story. I guess it was like a week before it came out. Sparky had left the band. They had a tour coming up with Dying Fetus and Arsis. And they were a little stressed out about it. They had to do it as a 3-piece, but I think at that point they already made the choice to have Darren be in the band because he was teching for Dying Fetus at the time. So while they were on tour, he was just learning and watching Misery Index do their thing before he got up there and did his thing with them. So, but great album, Fed to the Wolves. I agree. Great song. It's the last song Sparky wrote for Misery Index, and it's good shit.
I remember that tour because Arsis had somebody else quit while they were on that tour too. Whenever by the time that I saw the tour in Bloomington, Illinois, AJ was telling me, he's like, well, it's probably just going to be me and the band by the time this tour is over with, the way band members are leaving bands.
Damn.
You know, that was a weird tour, but
for sure. Yeah. All right, my last one for this show, number 11. Oh God, I'm picking up a lot of these here. These are my dudes right here, but this is I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies in my hand of possibly one of the coolest fucking records I've ever listened to in my all my years of listening to music. Just staring at this artwork, I'm getting lost and forgetting what I'm about to talk about because it's just this is a great record with some really cool art, and I'm sure this is going to be much higher up on Jeff's list. But Cattle Decapitation, Anthropocene Extinction. I always get that. I always fuck up that name. I'm here holding the Nessie pressing here. What else do I got in my hand? Oh, I got this Circo Inhumantis number 70 of 300 in my hand. Oh, don't fall out of my lap, please, records. 7 billion parts per million, number 185 of 200. I love this one. This is one of my favorite pressings of all time. Ooh, the Trash Explosion, 200 of, or no, 22 of 200. And then I think this is like your basic standard one that you get when you pre-order it. This album is just, god damn it. Like I remember it coming out, and the album before this had was Monolith, and it had the Forced Gender Reassignment song on it. And I remember just being like, man, I wonder if they're gonna peak with this song because like it's just such a fucking crazy good song, and the music video was outrageous, and I think a lot of people just like jumped on the Cattle Decapitation bandwagon. And then this one came out. I remember listening to it and just I should never underestimate Travis Ryan or any of those guys. They just like they just keep getting better and better. I feel like they're another one of those bands. And this record, I remember it coming out and just blowing my fucking mind. And I used to tell people all the time, Bloody Karma was my favorite Cattle album. This record just I don't have to sell it on Jeff. Jeff, I think, owns more copies of this album than he has. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that one. But like it's a fucking incredible record. Like it's like I said, start to finish, just insane. Notable songs on this record. I'm gonna say Pacific Grim. There's none. That song just, oh, man, like you could feel his anger in that from just listening to it. It's incredible. There's tons of good ones on this record. Like I said, the Burden of 7 Billion is like a filler track, I believe, right? There's just stuff on here that I remember just paying close attention to because, like, if you look through these records, I think it starts with Monolith, I believe. When you look at the pictures of Travis in this record, the evolution of his death on these records are pretty fucking cool on the inside. But since it's my last one, I will break one out. I don't know which one I want to break out. I'll probably I broke out the Trash Explosion recently, and I'll break out my favorite one. I think when we had Travis on, he was pretty. I think he agreed with me that this was like the cooler looking one from the collection. But the 7 billion parts per million with all the little sparkles in there. I'm in love with this fucking pressing. I didn't realize it was a repress, but I used to look at this picture of Travis here, and I thought he was like vomiting like Skittles or something because there's a lot of color. I have to believe he probably never eats those things, but yeah. I try not to go overboard like you do. I mean, like I respect what you got in your collection of this album. I really do, but like I try to get just the cooler looking ones, and I think they've repressed it a few times, but I'm like, oh yeah, I have to get that. The Nessie one, I was really happy I got one. I wish I got more. I don't think the one that I have is like numbered or anything, but yeah, Cattle Decapitation, Anthropocene Extinction. This is my last pick for my the first half of our top 20, number 11. That is my number 11 pick. Yeah.
To answer what you said earlier about you don't have as many, like Jeff has enough copies or has more copies than whatever. Jeff has more copies than he needs.
Well,
is
Jeff
is the way to finish that statement.
Jeff has Nick's address as well, so he knows how to mail stuff to Nick. Okay, we are going pretty over the board here with on time, but we're giving it under 2 hours. Jeff, it's been a while since you and I have done an episode by ourselves. Did you get any new records recently?
I did. I got some new ones. So we'll go through some of the newer releases that I've acquired. And going off of the heels of talking about Cattle Decapitation record, I'll go ahead and start off with this one. This is just recently released within the last couple of weeks. This is a test pressing of the remastered reissue of Cattle Decapitation's first album. Excuse me, Human Jerky.
Awesome. That's so cool.
This was released by 31G Records, pressed by Smashed Plastic Record Pressing. This is a unique test pressing because this is a yellow,
No way.
clear translucent yellow test pressing, which is, rare. You don't see that very often. Test presses are usually just standard black and, whatever.
They do come on a particular like pressing of like a vinyl. It's weird. Like I don't know how to describe it. But it's like made so you can hear it better.
Right.
But yeah, like I do have that's awesome. Color
Thanks.
test pressing.
Yeah,
What year is this? 2024.
Test pressing of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Today. Up next, as far as new releases, for Record Store Day this year, I didn't get real involved with Record Store Day. There was one in particular that I really wanted to have just because this album is so important to me. May or may not be on the top half of this list in the next episode. We'll just have to wait and watch and find out. For Record Store Day, Stone Temple Pilots released a B-sides and rarities, taking tracks from the album Purple, and they released demos and B-sides, and there's now an official version of their cover of the Led Zeppelin song Dancing Days on vinyl, which is super cool. For the Purple rarities, songs include the early version of Meat Plow, early version of Interstate Love Song, early version of Big Empty, demo version of Army Ants, a demo of Unglued, of course, Dancing Days, an unreleased track called She Knows Me All Too Well, and an acoustic version of Interstate Love Song. Really, really cool thing to have. The early versions are basically just like 4-track demos. They don't sound the best. So I've listened to it once, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the only time I ever listen to the early demos on vinyl because pretty bad. Cool to have, absolutely cool to have. I'm absolutely glad that I have this, and to have Dancing Days on vinyl is really cool. Yep, that was my one major Record Store Day release for this year. Last weekend, I made a trip to Lawrence, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri to see a weekend of shows. First off, I went to see Coalesce in their hometown. A couple of weeks ago on Bandcamp Friday, they had this thing where they were selling $10 vinyl with free shipping. And I just jumped all over that shit because I just, $20, they get 2 records in the mail. Yeah, I'll take advantage of that. So I got their Give Them Rope that was just re-released on Relapse Records. This is a custom Galaxy edition. I guess I can pull this out and show what this looks like. I think this is just a standard white. Or no, that's a cool looking merge there. I'll put that up here in a minute. Second off, from Coalesce, I got, as far as the $10 records, I got 012 Revolution in Just Listening. This is a custom merge swirl edition. And this is like a marbled, looks really cool in the light. Really cool orange merge edition. Really cool pressing. Again, this was a $10 record that was shipped to me for free and could not pass it up. last but not least from Coalesce, I got this from a record store in Lawrence, Kansas before I saw this next band that I'm going to talk about. This was in the local section of the record store because these guys are actually Lawrence, Kansas residents. I got Functioning on Impatience, and this pressing was also a 2024 Relapse pressing. And I don't know what the regular pressings look like, but this thing is so awesome. Like the slip cover, I believe, is what this would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this outer cover
Yeah,
thing.
that's how the CD was.
Oh, really? Yeah, this is my first pressing of this on vinyl, but just the way that this looks, the way this was put together is really, really, really badass. This is a white with splatter edition. It was called something else on Discogs. I don't remember what it was listed as on Discogs, but it's almost like I think they call it like a galaxy splatter. But yeah, 3 albums by Coalesce acquired over the last week or so. Never owned a Coalesce record before, and now I own 3 of them all at the same time. Pretty cool. Up next, one of my favorite releases from this year was Better Lovers, Highly Irresponsible. They did a slipcover version of the with a blog, I believe it is, this Downbeat. I don't know what this Downbeat thing is. I believe it's a podcast. I believe that the guys are on, and I guess they do limited edition slipcovers for albums or whatever. But yeah, I grabbed one of these whenever the pre-orders went up, just because I'm a big fan of the album, love the album. This particular pressing is a green marble that's limited to only 500. It is the most rare pressing of Highly Irresponsible. This is still sealed, will remain sealed until I deem it to be opened and or sold or whatever. Because believe it or not, this thing is going for a pretty penny on Discogs right now. And it may be a rainy day record, may not be, I don't know. But really cool to have. I have my copy that I listen to, and then I have this just because of the awesome artwork, the frogs and destroying humans and annihilating zombies or whatever the hell's going on this cover. Frog and an alien drinking and partying and having a good time and listening to Cypress Hill, and it's fun. It's a fun thing that's going on this cover. And last but not least, for the new releases this week, is something that I've been wanting on vinyl for a long time that you could only get in a box set for this particular band up until a few months ago, whenever Revolver did these, I believe. They released this album on vinyl, and I was so happy to get it, and I was so happy to finally have Burn the Priest. As was mentioned earlier, Burn the Priest, of course, is Lamb of God before they changed their name to Lamb of God, where the songs on here where Nick had the username Resurrection number 9 on the Lamb of God message board, and I had Suffering Bastard. These are both Burn the Priest tracks. This album, I was so excited to get on vinyl, and then whenever I was talking to Nick about what it was, I noticed that the spine says Lamb of, and I'm not even going to try to show that, but it says Lamb of God, Burn the Priest. And that just angers me. It just makes me so mad because they weren't Lamb of God whenever they released this album, but whatever. I'll let it slide. I mean, I do still own Burn the Priest. I can listen to these songs on vinyl, but it's little tedious shit like that just kind of irritates me. But regardless, they did 2 pressings of this album. They did the one that I didn't get, and then they did the other. They did this blue with color flex vinyl. Flex as in Flecks, not, flex. But here is translucent. You can kind of see the color. Ooh, look at that, dude. Look how well those gold flex turned out. Good God. Turned out real well. And yes, I did just open this on the episode. I wanted to make a bigger deal out of that than what I actually did. But the insert's cool. The insert looks exactly like the CD, which I own the CD. that's what the original cover looked like, with the nuns burning the priest and all that. But yeah, still really cool to have this on vinyl. It is the remastered version, as Nick and I have talked about numerous times. On the original pressing back in 1999, at the beginning of the album, you hear Randy go, and then go into Bloodletting. And this doesn't have that. Whenever they remastered this album, they took away Randy's breath at the beginning, which is disappointing, but it is what it is. So, and that's it. That's all I got for new ones. Especially since my wife is sitting right there, and I don't want to talk about any more new records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to rifle through mine the best I can. Yeah, Record Store Day was a couple weeks ago. I couldn't go. I went a couple days later when I had a day off from work. And there were a couple things I wanted. One thing I was looking in particular, they didn't have it. And I had to order it online. But first thing I saw that I did want was a 7-inch of the Beatles. I Want to Hold Her Hand, and I saw her standing there. I saw her standing there is an awesome fucking song. I love that one. Beatles are, pretty much what really got me into music because of my father. He listened to them a lot. So I got that. Motley Crue put out a box set of the 7-inch singles for Dr. Feelgood. This is pretty cool. Let me try to show you real quick here. Here's Dr. Feelgood. It's got Sticky Sweet on it, 7-inch green vinyl. Kickstart My Heart and She Goes Down on white vinyl. Same Old Situation and Wild Side on clear vinyl. Friends and family. Don't Go Away Mad. I like this cover with the little animated pictures of them on clear yellow. Just Don't Go Away Mad and Rattlesnake Shake. And then the final single they put out, Without You, on clear red. And then it's got Slice of Your Pie. I held on to the little sticker. I kept that in the box that it came with. And it also came with some Motley Crue Band-Aids. And then there's this little thing that was on the back of the box. But yeah, as I mentioned in this episode that we just recorded, this album was a big deal to me. Motley Crue was a huge deal to me as a little kid. When I saw that they didn't have the one record I was looking for that was like mass pressed, and I was shocked that they only got one in. I saw that they had this on the shelf, and I had a punch card that gave me a pretty hefty discount. So I bought this one, and yeah, shout out to Motley Crue. Love that band. All right, next thing I got. I'll share this real quick. Going along with Dr. Feelgood because it's a 6-time platinum album. Holy shit. The 35th anniversary. I was at a Target a couple weeks ago and I saw this, what they call a Zoetrope vinyl. What those are is let me try to pull it out here and show people because it's hard to explain, but it's when the record spins, it makes a little animated thing. You can see it kind of goes around like that. This side's got like actual fucking pictures.
Yeah, it's like of the band members, right?
And but you gotta like set your phone to like a particular there's like a direction. Hold on. Let me put this back in here and I'll explain it to you because there's literally directions on here.
On how to post to social media.
Phone must be set to video mode. Quality must be HD, not 4K. Set frame rate to 30 frames per second. Ideally, view under a bright light. Turn the contrast almost all the way down on your camera phone for a clear picture. And then I guess it tells you to kind of zoom in so you can kind of see like the image on there. I haven't seen too many of these. I think the only other one I've seen was of Iron Maiden, Power Slave. I think Jason was talking about it when we had him on our show. But because I just talked about Motley Crue and twice now on this episode is the third time I'm showing off this album. I love this fucking record. Dr. Feelgood is one of my favorite albums of all time. But I was happy to score that. All right. These next two ones I just got in the mail today. I had no idea they got sent already to me. Candiria, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. This was the last album they put out that I was really a big fan of. After this, they kind of yeah, I didn't I don't remember listening to too much of their stuff after this. It was a little bit more electronic from what I remember. I bought 2 different pressings of it. This one is called Moon Phase or something. Pretty neat, little transparent, but
Cool.
and then yeah, I already threw them in nice sleeves here because I don't want to fuck these records up. This, yeah, as you can tell the cover, this is their band when they got in this horrible accident, which really fucked these guys up for a little while. Sidetracked them, and they couldn't tour because of that shit. But glad they got back together. They're still doing shit, and they're repressing all their old albums on vinyl. But this is probably going to be the last one that I buy as far as them finally pressing stuff. This other one is I don't remember what it's called, White Pearl. It's hard to see, but it's white, and then there's like there's glitter in it. But like, man, like it's really hard to see. Trying to hold it as close as I can. See a little
I
bit up
can see
there.
a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wasn't the best idea. And then there's a third one that was blood, but I didn't get that one. I thought this one and the other one looked kind of cool. Again, shout out to Candiria, fucking one of the most underrated bands in the world. I fucking love these dudes. You know, like just something I thought I had to buy because like I support those dudes no matter what. Last thing I'm going to mention that I got the founder of our show, Mr. J.R. Hayes, had a nice little gift for me that he hooked me up with. I already shared my other copy of Terrifier on the show, but this is the limited edition Relapse Clear, Friends and Family. You know, this thing comes in this giant book. I'll quickly show you one of them because I'm sure you know what a clear record looks like. All 4 of them or 3 of them are basically like your standard clear, and then the last one that has like the etching on it.
So sick.
A little hard to tell.
Yeah. No, it looks great. No, you can absolutely tell what it is. That's badass.
Yeah. Again, shout out to JR. It was really nice of him. Thank you so much. This is it's a cool piece to have in my collection. You know, I remember being at the CD release show for this at the Auto Bar. Misery Index played that show, and then a couple weeks ago I saw the 20th anniversary show of this in DC. Yeah, Big Destroyer, awesome band. Fucking love these guys so much. The layout and all that of this box is just fucking incredible. It'll catch your eye from across the room. Happy to have 2 copies. The regular pressing and the clear pressing. It's always cool when get some limited editions shit in the mail and or actually this was handed to me at a friend's house, but still happy to have this one. You know, Pig Destroyer is a big deal to me and Jeff, and happy to have what I can have in my collection of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Pig Destroyer is okay. I mean, they're, you know, I've heard worse.
Yeah. Well, we're almost rounding 2 hours here. We want to thank everybody for watching and tuning in. Next week, we are going to go from number 10 to number 1 on our top 20. And I'm, again, really stoked to see because, yeah, my jaw hit the ground a couple times this episode. I'm a little shocked at some of these things that Jeff broke out so early. So we'll see.
Yeah, me too. But we'll discuss that in the next episode. We'll discuss once we get up to the final 3 or 4. I'll be like, all right, this is where this should be.
We're gonna have our little comparisons soon. So,
Yeah,
thank you everybody
absolutely.
for tuning in. Thank you, Jeff, again for your time, and we will see you all next week.
All right, see you guys.
Final thing,